So I actually have gotten some really good questions in regards to snow plowing, and I figured, is there a better time than now to answer them? I think so. So something that you might not think about in this driveway is actually a really good example. So when you get into snow plowing, you want to be considerate, especially on these long driveways, of the wind. I get like on a short, small city residential driveway, this ain't gonna matter, but you're gonna want to think of your wind. So I'm actually windrowing. This is a really long driveway. I'm windrowing everything off to this side over here towards the woods, and this would also be the south side. So in the winter time we get a lot of north winds. This way would be north, and it's gonna blow it across the driveway, and it's gonna cause drifting in the driveway. So when I windrow this all to this side, we'll have less chances of drifting here. Something I actually didn't learn till just a couple years ago, and I actually was like midway through the season on this driveway when kind of an old time farmer gave me that tip. So that was kind of a cool one. If you guys have tips too that you want to drop, leave them in the comments for other people. We can all help each other out. You guys can help me out. The other big plowing tip that I have, and we'll talk about a few more here, one of them is just knowing where you're going to put your snow before you drop the blade. Sometimes you need to discuss this with your customer ahead of time. Other times they don't really care. I always kind of try to ask people, especially on commercial lots, where they would like the snow, or if there's any specific requests for where I put the snow. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it don't, but just always have a plan in place before you drop your blade. Another plowing tip, and this one might be too late for you, it might not be, but if you're looking to get into snow removal and you haven't bought a plow yet, I would recommend buying the plow that you want to use right away, like the style of plow. So like if you want to be a straight blade guy, you buy a straight blade right away. You'll notice I started with a straight blade snowplow, and I have straight blade habits that I can't break. I kind of like to use my V-plow like a straight blade, and not that that's always a bad thing, but I feel like it definitely is easier. If you want to be a V-plow guy, just start out with a V-plow. What else do we have for them? You have any tips?
No, I don't.
What have we learned over the years? Not to do snow removal?
Yep.
No, so this is a really below average year for us. Last year was way below average.
That's a pretty tough year.
It's been a really couple of bad, tough years here in a row. So I would say another tip would be just make sure that you structure your accounts in a way that if you get snow, make sure you're charging some by the time, and make sure that you're charging some by the month. And I would actually skew it a little bit more towards monthly if I could. I'd be like 70% monthlies, and yeah, probably 30% per time, just to make sure that your costs are covered, because I've had 2 years here where unfortunately we've really struggled to make ends meet, just to be transparent. If you can't pay for your stuff, there's no sense in having it. So my next little plowing tip for you guys would be gravel driveways versus paved driveways. I would highly recommend on a gravel driveway, make sure that the ground is frozen before you plow it. I oftentimes will tell my customers to drive on the first couple of snowfalls. If they're light, you get like I would say anything less than 4 inches. Have them drive on it first before you're gonna drop a blade on it, just so it does get packed in nice. If the ground is like really frozen, like up here we get, below 0 temperatures before we drop the blade the first time, that ground is really frozen usually, and we don't scrape off too much dirt. Like that last driveway I just plowed was just straight dirt, and we haven't hardly driven on that one. They have driven on probably, half inch so far?
Not much.
Not a whole lot. Another one would be making sure that you're pushing more than you're back dragging. The more that you can push forward, the better. I get that it's not always going to work out that way, but for the most part you should be pushing forward, trying to push stuff off to the side, get it out of the way, and do less back dragging. So that's another tip for you. Another little lesson that I've kind of learned in my plowing years, 10 plus by the way. What?
Yay!
Yay! Yeah, so on that, I've learned some tough lessons, and one of those would be plowing driveways that I'm unfamiliar with. So somebody will give you a call, be like, hey, can you come out and plow my driveway? And I'll be like, probably not anymore. You know, I wouldn't do this anymore, but I would have when I first started out. The reason that I'm saying this is because you can oftentimes hit stuff that you don't know is buried there. It's not marked out if you haven't seen it ahead of time. If you've seen the site ahead of time, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But to just go out and plow some random person's driveway, it's very risky. Yeah, so that driveway there, you'll notice that I didn't quite push everything off of the driveway and left some on it. She really only wanted the right side stall cleared, so that's why I did that. Sometimes people ask me to do that, and yeah, so I listened to them. So when you're first starting out, it's really easy to want to do it all, right? You want to get that next piece of equipment, want to get a loader like this one up here. Look at that, big old Arctic pusher on the front of it. Get a skid steer, get into salting, all that stuff. So the thing of it is you're gonna wanna learn to stay in your lane. Take jobs that you can just do with a truck, take jobs that you can just do with a tractor, take jobs that you can do with a snowblower. Just kind of stay in your lane, know what you're good at, and don't go head over heels into, like, don't go into debt if you can help it. Pay cash. Just try to keep your costs down in case you should have a bad winter or something like that. Charge what you're worth. Make sure that you're not the cheap guy out there. If you're charging a good price, make sure you're doing a good job. Make sure that you have a good lawn contract or snow contract in place, rather. Make sure you have a lawn contract in place too, that's important. But make sure that if you're doing snow removal, snow is such a huge liability. Make sure that you have insurance for one. That's probably like tip number one, honestly. You should not be plowing without insurance. I know in Minnesota here, I believe we're required to have a commercial insurance just to have a snowplow on the front of our truck. If we hit someone and we do not have commercial insurance, we're gonna get in big trouble. So make sure that you're properly insured for what you're doing. This guy doesn't need any more plugs because he gets a ton of free plugs all over the place. But if you don't know where to get a snow contract, go on Lawntrepreneur Academy, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. He has pretty well written snow contracts, I guess. You got to pay for them, which isn't a big deal because they're honestly worth it. It's worth paying the money for the snow contract, especially when it covers your butt when you hit someone. Okay. Yeah, and then you get free updates when he updates it. So you got to make an account on there, and then yeah, you get updates when he has them updated. And I think they're actually written by a legit lawyer. So whoa, look at that snow bucket. That's a big one.
It's huge.
That's kind of cool.
We have dividers in there. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. It was sectioned off. That in my mind is just something to catch snow. Snow gets stuck in those corners. Yeah, gotta cover yourself, guys. This is
not a joke.
Like you could probably get away with cutting a few yards without insurance, but you cannot get away with just plowing a few jobs without insurance. Cover yourself, good tires on the truck, make sure you're hooking up nice. I like to run Toyo Open Country. I think they're the AT3 model. They are a fantastic snow tire, especially when they're fresh. Over the years, I have kind of had some weird wear issues with them, running them in the summer a lot. We put a lot of miles on them though, so go figure. But if you're rotating them, they do hold up pretty well. Commercial single stage snow blowers are your friend when it comes to sidewalks and stuff. Make sure that you got fresh paddles on those. They don't like to work so well when they wear out, but yeah, a good single stage snowblower can save you a lot of time on sidewalks. I would say too, if you don't know what's gonna work best for your company, for your specific accounts, don't know what the best pieces of equipment are. I mean, obviously YouTube is a great way to do your research and learn kind of what works for other people. But go to your local dealers and see what they offer and what they would recommend. Make sure that you're buying from a local dealer. I don't want to go, if I have a Western dealer that's an hour away and I have a Boss dealer that's 10 or 15 minutes away, definitely buy the Boss. Even though you might be like a Western guy or think you're a Western guy, dealer support's so huge in this industry. Whether it's lawn mowing or snow removal, you gotta be able to get back on the road. It's so crucial. If you're not there to plow the driveway, the next guy is a phone call away and he is gonna take your work. I'm gonna be a little bit noisy here. It's all right. Make sure that you're using marking stakes to mark stuff. Like I had mentioned earlier, I don't like to go to sites that I haven't been to and I'm not really familiar with. So make sure that you go out ahead of the season and mark out the accounts. I do that free of charge, just as kind of a help me out type of a deal. I know some people charge for that as a service for marking their property. I honestly think that it's more of a, yeah, it benefits the plower, not the customer so much. And then if they, well, it benefits them too, but like if they pay for them and I run them over, then yeah, I kind of feel bad, and I like to hit the plow stakes sometimes. So especially when it gets later in the season and I know where everything is, I don't really care a whole lot. So watch out for mailboxes. Don't back into those. Be really aware of your surroundings, and I would say that, you know, just because it was clear the last time you backed out into the road doesn't mean it's clear this time. So don't get lazy. Make sure that you're really checking things over well, pushing snow back as far as you can right away. It's gotten us into trouble a few times. It does tie you up. It's just something to kind of think about. Like, you don't want to go very far. Like, you don't want to go 5 hours up north to Red Lake on an ice fishing trip or something like that, and then have it snow and you have to turn right around and come back home. Like, that just kind of stinks. So it does tie you up in the winter time. So if you're gonna leave, make sure you have someone on standby. But yeah, it makes it really hard to take like a vacation and stuff if you're a solo operator, I guess. If you have a team, which I would highly recommend, kind of where I went wrong, but it is kind of hard to find people that want to do this job too. Maybe not like drive a truck, but like definitely it is for shoveling.
And it can be hard to keep someone because it can be very inconsistent.
Oh, for sure. That's a good one too. It's just something to really think about. I would say too, you know, just have another person to bounce ideas off of, or kind of mentor you maybe. I guess that'd be a good way to put it. Have like a mentor locally that knows your market. This is something that you can kind of pick up on pretty quick, but it's like, it just takes time. I mean, it really does. You can do all the research in the world that you want, but you just gotta, you know, put your hand to the plow controller and really get to learning it. I can tell you there are certain controllers that are easier to use than others. Like the Boss controller is pretty easy. In my opinion, the Hinneker plow controller is by far the easiest. I would say that a straight blade is easier to operate than a V-plow. I mean, as far as the controller goes. The Western plow controller is a little bit sophisticated, just in my opinion. Wasn't too bad. I've ran like Western wideouts. Those are pretty nice plows. It's kind of a cool style plow too, actually. The wideout has it's like an 8-foot straight blade plow, and then it has the wings that come out, and it actually extends out, and I think you can get like 10 feet out of it or something. That would work really well on our gas station parking lots. Say too, just like when you're setting up your route, you know, if you haven't already started that, would be to just set it up efficiently. Try to not be driving all over the place. You know, the less time you can spend on the road, the better, really. More time that plows on a driveway or on a parking lot or something, you're gonna be making money with it. You know, you don't make any money just driving around. Like, I feel like that's been the killer of our business. Not that it really kills us that bad in snow, but oh man, in lawn, we get hammered by that driving around. But it's different because we're an hour north of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we're in a town with a population of what, 5,000 or something?
Yeah.
It's just not all that crazy. Good solid residential, all cleaned up. I like it. Like the look of that. Nice and clean. Good as it can be, at least, anyways. And we'll just windrow this off since I can turn around anyways here. Then you can just kind of run it down, pick it up gradually, and you can make it look like the snowplow, the city snowplow did it, or whatever. County snowplow. Nobody even would have known that that was me that did that. Nope. Oh man, that's sexy. That was some of the easiest snow I've pushed in probably years, though, to tell you the truth.
Same.
It was so light and fluffy, and it was just like the perfect. Actually, it had a little consistency to it. It was nice. Stuck together real well, but wasn't crazy heavy. It was really nice. Perfect.
Pretty much.
Well, I think it's about 20, it was around 20 degrees today. We had some trouble with some salt today. Got clumped up in there in the bags and just totally plugged up the spreader, and then when the motor sees that much resistance, it trips the fuse under the hood. So, kind of had some issues with that, but not terrible. Well, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I hope you really enjoyed today's plowing video. Hopefully you guys learned something from the tips that I dropped earlier. Hopefully you guys are getting some snow. I know down south you guys are getting some snow, and probably more than we are up here in Minnesota. Pretty crazy stuff. Anyways, closing her out here. If you would, like, comment, subscribe, and you could also go over and help us out, watch another one of our videos. That'd be great. And I'll try to leave some here in the board here at the end. I'll give you some options. So, being said, God bless. See you on the next one.